Hello, welcome to Business Success Talk. I'm Daniel Ortiz, and today my guest is Ann Laser, founder of Vivo Contemporary Gallery in Canyon Road, Santa Fe, New Mexico,
Yes.
and founder of the Teabag Project, which I'm really excited to talk about because it's a unique, innovative program. And so, Ann, welcome to our program.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Now, Ann, you're a little bit different from my typical interviewee in that this is about business.
Yes.
And you are an artist, but you are in the business of art. And I know a lot of artists don't consider themselves business people, but you are, you know, an artist, a first-class artist, but also in the business of art as founder of Vivo Contemporary Gallery on Canyon Road, very successful gallery. And we're going to segue into that later in this interview. Special program you developed called the Teabag Project. But before we start, tell us a little bit about you and your American dream and how you got into the business of art.
Wow, the American dream, that's a pretty big topic. But I guess for me, the American dream is to be able to live peacefully with myself and my community and the world, and be able to express myself in various ways in terms of helping people. I'm a psychotherapist too, so I really have a very big interest in trying to help people that have mental or emotional problems. But in addition, it's my dream that started even when I was quite young, and that was to be an artist. So that's a big piece of my American dream.
Okay. So from what I understand of your story is that you actually got into the art, I won't say the business of art, but became an artist later in life.
Yes.
It wasn't something you started. So tell us about your background. Where do you come from, and how did that evolve into your art career?
Okay.
I think we have a video of your...
Yeah. Well, yes, I grew up in Arkansas and raised my family there. And I had always been interested in art. But I had to, I felt you have to do first things first. And so I raised my family. I had a business in psychotherapy, very active practice. And when the children were finally launched, I began to, at age 59, I started taking art classes.
Okay, so a lot of people are retiring
around
that time.
Yeah.
So you started really your art business at age 59.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
were
young 59.
Well, yeah, 59 is the new 39, right?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I did, and honestly, I'd had such a good life and enjoyed my life, but I was really.
So you did the traditional thing. You got married young, I guess.
Yeah.
And
had
raised
a family,
and did the family thing and became a therapist.
Uh-huh.
When one thinks of Arkansas, art's not the first thing that comes to mind.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Razorbacks is really what first comes to
Right,
mind.
football, right?
Yeah.
And barbecue.
Yeah, it was just always, as I said, always a childhood dream that I could do art, and wanted to take classes. I grew up in a large family. I was the oldest of 5 children, and there was no money for art classes. So it's kind of a suppressed desire from very early. And then,
did you put together like crayons or any kind of artistic things on your own?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I did. And raising the family, I did every craft that came along.
Okay.
Macrame and everything.
I remember construction paper and stuff like that. Okay.
Collages.
Okay, so you were doing the artistic thing. Just
And every time we went on a vacation, I would take my children to art museums. That was one of the favorite things. So it turned out that 2 of my only 2 daughters are both artists.
Oh, rough artists, okay. I don't know what rough artist means.
No,
but
are artists.
Are artists, okay. I thought you said rough artists, okay.
No.
So, segue from being a homemaker, mother in Arkansas, to having a gallery, being a part owner of a gallery on Canyon Road in Santa Fe, which is like the art mecca.
I know, right? I can't believe it.
So what happened? Was there a leap of faith, or?
Absolutely, but it started that I came out here to Santa Fe as in my other aspect of business to do lead a workshop, and I fell in love with it, and the blue sky and just the whole atmosphere lends itself to the creative spirit.
Right.
And so
Well, Santa Fe is my understanding is the third largest art market in the country after New York and LA.
Yeah,
so I mean, there's definitely a pool here for artists, right? And of course, it's the sky. And I think a lot of us know the story of Georgia O'Keeffe, who established the colony back in, I don't know, what, the 30s or 40s, right?
Yeah. So so I began to come out here because that was the year I had started doing art, taking art lessons. And at one point, I started making regular trips out here after that. And you know, how synchronicity, things come together. I was coming out here learning more about art, as well as taking art classes in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where I lived at the time. And my art teacher said, you know, Ann, this is art. You're making art now. And people could have different opinions about it, but this is art. And so that really helped me understand that, you know, there's a great range of what appeals to different people.
Of course.
And
so what kind of art were you doing? Were you painting or
I was painting.
Watercolors?
I started doing painting with acrylic and oil, and I did a lot of landscapes and plein air. But on one of my trips out here, I happened to be exposed to Ron Procrosso's work. He is a very fabulous printmaker, master printmaker. And I just fell in love with that whole genre of art and took classes from him, and then started taking classes at the community college. And that's how I just really shifted more from painting to printmaking. And then I started doing mixed media work.
Now, for our audience, what is mixed media work?
Well, it's using, you know, you can use all sorts of things in a mixed media pieces. You can use collage, you can paint, use natural objects, leaves, whatever. But using that medium helped me segue into what I'm doing now, which is I incorporate used tea bags into my work. And I know that sounds kind of strange.
It does at first glance, but we're going to see a couple of your pieces, and it's amazing work. So, okay, so you kind of, what I'm hearing is that your work evolved.
Yes.
Evolved, and then you kind of settled in on like one, I don't know, is it called genre or just one type of art with tea bags, and of course that evolved into the Teabag project, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I think we've got a couple of examples of, so basically you take used tea bags and you create works of art.
Absolutely.
Right, so I think, George, we got some pieces, examples coming up, but so what on earth made you decide to use tea bags in works of art?
That's crazy. That was really a crazy thing.
And obviously you're a tea drinker.
Yes, I'm a tea drinker.
Was it an epiphany, or is this,
no,
what happened?
It gradually happened. I decided.
Here we have a piece here. So this is, tell us about this piece, and then we'll go back to how it started.
That piece has.
Now these are used tea bags.
Those are all used tea bags, and they are the color that they are stained by the tea.
So you didn't add color to any of these pieces?
No, that has no, those kind of purplish color, that's pomegranate. And the lighter color is green tea, and then there's black tea. I can look at them and I can tell you what they are.
Okay.
And then that sign is the Om sign.
Okay. Is that Sanskrit or?
It's part of a Buddhist.
No, but is that Sanskrit, or what's the?
I guess it is. I don't know.
Okay. This type of lettering.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, how did you begin to use tea bags in art?
Well,
and that's you almost exclusively do that now, right? With used tea bags.
Yeah, I still do some printmaking, but I've really focused on that, and as with anything, if you jump around and do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you don't really go in depth. That's true in life, and it's very true in art. So what happened, the way I started, is just happened to see one of my tea bags dried rather than get, you usually throw them in the trash.
Right.
Well, somehow one dried, and I love the color.
Okay.
And that's how it started. It wasn't very profound. But anyway, then I just, I thought, well, I'll use those in there's a recycling show that we have here in Santa Fe, and I thought, well, I'll do something. But I couldn't wait. I had to start. And then the first one I did, for your first few, people just loved it. Do
you just like glue them onto a back?
Well, what I do, basically what I do is I use a canvas or a panel, and I usually paint with acrylic paint the background. And then I use an acrylic medium. It acts like glue, and I put them onto whatever surface I'm using.
Now, do you have a design in mind, or you just
No, it's very
goes?
spontaneous.
Okay.
The whole process for me of art is very spontaneous.
Okay, so that you started that, and then that kind of evolved. I think we've got a huge piece. In fact, you had a piece that was in the state capitol, the Roundhouse. I wish we had an image of that, but it's a piece. But you have a rather large piece. I think George will bring it up here in a minute.
Yeah.
And here it is, and that is all tea bags. Is that right?
Yes.
That is amazing. Okay.
Well, it is. It took 2 years to do that.
Wow.
I didn't work on it, obviously, all the time.
Continuously, right? But
because it would have driven me crazy.
and did you? I mean, it has like a yellowish, orangish color to it. Were you looking at specific teas?
No.
Or did you exclude teas? Because there's
No.
like Earl Grey, and those are darker
Yeah.
pieces. Those dry dark, or they stay light?
Yeah, they dry dark. Well, when people send me the tea bags, which they had already, obviously I had been getting tea bags.
You showed some pieces to some people, and they just started sending you spontaneously their used tea bags.
No, not spontaneous.
Oh.
They liked the art. But literally one morning, I woke up, just jumped out of bed, and I said, I'm just going to start collecting tea bags from all over the world. And so I did.
Because you can only drink so much tea yourself for your projects, right?
Yeah. So I called it the Teabag Project. And a friend of mine helped me make some little cards. And when I would see people in the gallery or word of mouth, the card said to keep their tea bags that they use for 2 weeks, and then let them dry, and then mail them or bring them by. And people started doing it. I was amazed. And I have tubs of tea bags, and I sort them all according to color and type. And that's the palette. That becomes the palette.
Okay, so people, we're gonna take a break here, commercial break here in a minute. So
Okay.
people are sending you tea bags, and from my understanding is that from all over the world?
Well, yeah, from out of this country, some,
Okay.
but predominantly from the U.S.
Okay, so hold that thought. We're gonna take a short minute break to hear from our sponsors, and we're gonna welcome you back to American Dream Latin Souls in our next episode, and we'll be right back in about 10 minutes. Thank you. Hello, welcome back to Business Success Talk. I'm Daniel Ortiz, and my guest today is Ann Laser, owner of Vivo Contemporary, part owner of Vivo Contemporary Gallery in Canyon Road, and founder of the Teabag Project.
Yes.
So, Ann, when we left off, you were discussing how you started making works of art, amazing works of art, with used, discarded tea bags.
Correct.
And we left off with people are sending you, some from all over the world, but sending you used tea bags.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to me. Why would anybody want to take the time to send you, and I guess it's on their dime, you know, they mail it to you, used, discarded tea bags?
Yeah. That's the fascinating thing for me. And it has really inspired me to go beyond just making art. But I've found that often people come back every year, you know, to see what I'm doing. They become interested in being a part of something, well, making art. They're partners in this whole process.
So they feel connected to the piece.
They feel connected to me and to the work that I'm doing. And really, the way I think about it is that they are part of it. The energy that they have, you know, put into the tea bags, and the energy it's not easy. I mean, it's not difficult, but it takes time to let them dry and package them, and as you said, mail them to me. I got one time that they had wrapped it with that silver tape. What's that called?
Masking tape?
Yeah, and it looked like it could be a bomb, and the people at the post office had me come down.
Is that right?
And identify that it was, you know, it wasn't a bomb. Anyway, but so I believe that people really want to be part of something creative. They want to be part of something bigger, and something that is positive, really positive.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So you started with the tea, I mean, with regular pieces of art, evolved to the teas and Teabag Project. And now that's not the Teabag Project. The Teabag Project, tell us about that. That's something that's evolved from your artwork. Tell us about the Teabag Project and how that has evolved.
Well, you
have actually a Facebook group for the Teabag Project. So people want to get involved with that, where would they go, or how would they find out about you?
Well, they can go to Facebook. It's called the Teabag Project Membership Group. Okay. And they can be a part of it. And the focus of this group is to enact our motto. My motto is world peace through inner peace, one cup of tea at a time. And so the whole thrust of this is to become more peaceful ourselves and more engaged in peaceful enterprises in whatever way, in any way that you want to do it in the world. And
okay, so people can belong to this group, and be part of your Teabag Project, and connect on Facebook. Again, it's the Teabag Project on Facebook.
On Facebook, it's the Teabag Project Membership Group.
Membership Group. Okay.
Yeah.
And do they have to be invited to be a member, or do they apply?
Yes.
How does that work? Yeah.
So they let me know. Or, you know, they asked, and I. Yes, I agreed to let them in, you know.
All right.
But it's really this has just started. This part of my project, the Teabag Project, started with the art, and then it grew into incorporated into making wearable art. That's part of what I do.
I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the Teabag Project. So the Teabag Project, again, is I mean, founded on your art, that's become into a community.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
And so tea actually, from my, what I understand with my tea-loving friends, tea is not just a beverage, is it? It's a ceremony, and we know that the Japanese, maybe you can tell us about the Japanese tea ceremonies, but it's also a ritual for many people all over the world, isn't it?
And it has been for many eons. You know, it's a very big part of a lot of cultures. You think about the English, and as you said, the Japanese, and they have regular spiritual ceremonies that revolve around tea. But it's all across the world, people are really engaged in tea. And tea drinkers, even here, they're very committed to their tea.
Right.
You know, they really, they often study tea, and, you know, there's a sense of belonging. And I think historically, tea is sort of linked to peace and connection. People enjoy a cup of tea together. You know, high tea, you know, it's so.
Okay. And the way in our discussions previously, one of the visions, and you can expand on this, of the Teabag project and the group is to have individuals throughout the world having a cup of tea, and promoting world peace through inner peace. You know, Gandhi, I think, said, if you have to be the peace, you have to be the peace you want in the world. So rather than in today, especially with our politics so divisive, and you know what's going on in the world, I think the world could use a little bit of reflection, contemplation through the process of tea. But you're kind of formalizing it in a way.
Yes, and helping people again be connected to each other, and to something that they can believe in, but something that, because people are busy, and so this is something you can do if you have a busy life. All you have to do is, when you drink your tea in the morning, give some thought to peace in some way, and it can expand. We can have groups come together to talk about peace. You know, it's when I did a focus group, people were telling me how busy they were. They didn't have time for this. And one of my friends said, absolutely, she didn't have time. And I saw her a few weeks later, and she said, I can't get it off my mind. I think about it every time I have a cup of tea.
Okay. So you started that process.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you see the Teabag project evolving and going?
Well, you know, there are three thrusts I have. One would be to continue to make art, and that is expanding into using the Teabag art to do big installation pieces like the one you saw, the large one that has, incidentally, it has 2,064 tea bags.
Wow. All right.
And
I was going to ask you that earlier. I thought about it. Before the
so,
commercial break.
but it's, and then I, this newest group that I've talked about, the membership for the Teabag project, focusing on peace. And then I also have developed a line of wearable art.
Okay, tell us about that. And you're wearing one of the pieces.
Yes, this is one. This is a scarf, and you can see the Teabag images.
All right.
So the way this works is, I do the art. I have a partner in this endeavor, and she helps design the item, and we have a manufacturer in LA that we work with, and so and we still.
No, it's not just scarves, though, is it?
No,
how's that?
We have workout clothing. We have
workout clothing.
Yeah,
okay.
Blouses. We have wraps, other wraps that are beautiful flowing things, and so and we've got purses. Now we also have purses.
Okay, and it's all just tea bags.
It's my art. We've used some of my monoprints, but basically it's my art is photographed, and that's what's the basis of the item.
Okay.
And so we're expanding that as well.
All right. How is that? How are you distributing the wearable art?
Well, right now, this has been in the works for about a year and a half, so we're very new, and we have been having shows at the art gallery, Vivo Contemporary. We also have a line of scarves that are there, similar to this, that are there all the time, and they're purchased there. Okay. And in addition, we have trunk shows at various places.
Okay. So how would somebody wanted to purchase one of your items, could they buy it online? Do you have an online store?
Yes.
Okay.
You can shop online in two ways. You can just put the teabagproject.com, or you can use Ann Lacer contemporaryart.com, and it will take you to my 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 website, and there's you can shop.
You can, they ship them out.
And you can see the amazing number of wearable things we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how is that tied to the Teabag project? I know it's tea-based. Is that used to fund the Teabag project, or what's the correlation there?
You know, we haven't. We're going to do some more visioning after the first of the year, and so right now they're operating separately.
Okay.
Each of these entities. I don't know how they will intersect.
Okay. Right.
But there's, you know, we're open to discovering how that can happen.
Okay. Now, with the installation, I guess you call them installation pieces, the large pieces, I can see, and we've discussed this, we've talked about this, you know, the large teak companies having one of those in their corporate headquarters. I mean, you know, a lot of corporations, businesses, they invest in art for their headquarters and some of their satellite offices. And, you know, do you have a vision for that?
Yes,
okay.
I do. But that's, you know, I have approached tea companies, and I've actually done a cross-promotional project with Stash Tea a couple of years ago. But this is, it takes promoting, it takes making contact with the right person, and the timing for that hasn't happened yet, but I envision that it will.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to segue a little bit and talk about business.
Okay.
And so, and one of the things that's fascinating about you is that, again, you know, coming from Santa Fe, it's a big art market.
Yes.
If you live in Santa Fe, you generally you're going to know an artist or two, right? Because there's so many.
For sure.
And you know, the artist mindset and the business entrepreneur mindset can be distinct. You know, typically we call them left brain or right brain. You know, right artists are right brain, and they tend not to tendencies. And you're kind of bridging the gap between two worlds. And we discussed, you know, in your manifesto, you are not an entrepreneur but a social entrepreneur.
Yes.
Of sorts. So, how is the segue from being an artist to being you're in business? You know, how does that going from one world to the other? How have you managed that, and what are your experiences with that? Tell me about that.
It's been super difficult.
Okay.
Because my mind doesn't work like a business, or I didn't think it could. But now I'm really taking this on as a big learning experience. But I started by just hating the computer. You know, I just didn't want to. When I went by the room where it lived, I wanted to throw it out the window. But I've made peace with I've made peace with my computer, and I've gotten help from other people who know business, getting advice, and now I've really kind of gotten hooked on the whole, the whole idea of entrepreneurship, and I want to learn more about it, and I still think that there's a link between the vision that I have, that I carry, that's very important to me about peace. That's a part of entrepreneurship too.
Right, that's true. Right.
You know, they're not exclusive.
Right. Well, that's what I always say. As an entrepreneur, I mean, I'm obviously not an artist. I actually am an artist of sorts. I'm an author, award-winning author, and I film documentaries, so that is art in a way. But I've always wondered how some people look at entrepreneurs or business people, and you know, in film, the villain is always the business person, right?
Yeah, right.
I think that comes from A Wonderful Life, you know, the bankers, the bad guy, whatever. But I think you'll find that entrepreneurs really, we're not the bad guys, and it's actually can be a vehicle for expressing your art, your artwork. And we've all heard of the quote-unquote starving artist, which, you know, I don't think anybody really wants to be a starving artist. There's nothing noble about it, you know, if you're always buying your art.
That's true.
So you have to learn some business to make it go, right?
And as you said earlier, some artists are satisfied just to, you know, make art, and that's fine. And their art happens in so many ways. The way people garden, the way people cook. You know, there's art. Art is a part of our lives, and so some are happy just to leave it at that. For me, I started showing my art because for me, it's a full circle. I create something, and then when you, the viewer, sees it, relates to it, that's the full circle. And if you care enough to pay money for it, I get the money, but I also get the thrill and satisfaction of knowing it means enough to you that you will buy it.
That's the acid test. You know, people spend money. That's what they know. They appreciate something. So that's a great way to end this. And I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing your story. And,
Well,
and
I'm glad I could.
best success with the Teabag Project. And again, if people want to find the Teabag Project, it's on Facebook. It's the Teabag Project membership group.
Yeah. And there's also the Teabag Project. Period.
Okay,
Facebook.
Project. So Google. You can Google it and you'll find it.
You'll get in Google and Lacer, and you'll see all that stuff.
Okay, great. Well, and thank you for sharing your story. And I want to thank our audience for joining us on Business Success Talk.